It's figuring out the best way to make sure we don't have all these children out of wedlock anymore, making sure we can do whatever's necessary to be around our children, be good role models for our kids, create solid families, all these things, right? So here's the question, fellas. What would you do? Because the topic of the show is mama's baby, daddy's maybe, right? Fellas, what would you do if you found out your 6-year-old son wasn't yours? How would you move forward? How would you proceed if you found out your child isn't your child? Would it matter based on age? Like if he's 2 or 3, would that matter? You know what I mean? If it mattered based on, the relationship with the woman? What if it was a one-night stand or a quick sexual relationship? She said, baby's yours. You move forward. 5, 6 years later, you find out it's not your kid, right? Would that change for you if you was married, long-term relationship, y'all in a solid-ass relationship, you got a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, realize that the baby ain't yours, you know what I mean? So let's talk about it, family, because again, I brought up this topic because as adults, as melanated adults, right, everybody needs to be held accountable when it comes to how we conduct ourselves with each other, right? I'm a black man in this society who has 5 kids, right? Throughout this journey of having 5 children, because of systematic issues, some how women have perceived me in the relationships I've had with these women, but the primary reason for me being in my situation, and I'm able to admit this, is because my lack of responsibility. Right? My lack of responsibility, my lack of accountability, my lack of the purview of the necessities of starting a family the right way, right? So I end up with 4 kids by 2 different women by 23 years old, right? So I'm dealing with child support, I'm dealing with trust issues because I'm the primary cause of all these problems, right? Being like a fucking piece of shit, for lack of better terms, and not respecting these women the right way, not conducting the relationships with these women the right way. I have to take accountability for that, right? And what happens is society makes me take accountability. If we're talking about child support, if we're talking about how men are viewed as deadbeat, right? Like I said in one show before, you've never heard the term deadbeat mom. It's just not a term that's in our lexicon like that, right? Never heard that term, but you hear deadbeat dad all the time, right? So I think as parents, both of us have to be held accountable because sometimes, just my opinion, family, sometimes women get let off the hook a little bit. Sometimes women, because they're females, allowed to run a little ragged, and when that shit happens, it affects all of us. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, because the topic, if you're just joining us, what does a man do if he finds out the baby with a particular woman isn't his child? What is he supposed to do? Does he disown the child? Like say, I ain't fucking with the baby no more. I don't care what's been going on. Now it ain't my responsibility. I'm moving on, which will negatively affect the child ultimately, right? If this is the kid you've built a relationship with, right? But what should happen to the women? Let's talk about it, y'all. What should happen to a woman? Somebody in the comments tell me. What should happen to a woman who puts a baby on a man that's not his? So she says the baby's his. He finds out it's not. What should happen to the woman? Right? Because for me, when I have a baby out there, right? When I have a baby out there, they make me pay for that shit. A woman can put a man's name on the birth certificate, and if that man don't come to court to prove he ain't the daddy, he gonna have to pay. You see what I'm saying? So if we are to be honest, in my opinion, family, this system is almost set up to slant things towards the woman's favor. And this ain't right. And this is somebody who's been in the system. Now, keep it in mind, as they always say, as men, I'll tell man in a minute, you should put yourself in a position where a child support system isn't even needed. Meaning, how do you prevent, I'm going on a tangent here, but whatever. How do you prevent being on child support? Now, sometimes it can't be prevented. You're in a relationship with a woman, it doesn't work, she feels that's the best route to take, whatever. However, what we need to realize, all my men, all my young men, if you got young men, make sure they understand They have a say so in this. If you conduct yourself the right way, for the most part, if you're honest with a woman, if you're upfront with a woman, if you take the necessary time to get to know who she is, you can prevent that type of behavior. You know what I mean? Because again, you can do everything right and be married to your wife and you guys can have a great life together. After 10, 12 years, you guys can have a horrible breakup and she try to get child support and shit can get ugly, right? So you can do everything the right way and it still end up kind of fucked up, but that's rare in our society, y'all. For us, for black folks in particular. You know what I mean? So we need to be aware of that. So if putting a baby on a man should be a punishable offense. This is my opinion now. I was kind of giving the scenarios of, but this is what I think. If you put a baby on a man and it's not his child, and everybody finds out, you guys do the DNA or whatever, you find out it's not his kid, your ass should go to jail. If not jail, you should have restitution that you have to pay. Like you need to be paying money. If I had to pay child support, let's say I have a baby with a girl or with a woman, I find out the baby is not mine. The baby is now 9. I've been paying child support for 9 years, right? I've been paying child support for 9 years. I should get all that money back. She should have to pay me back every dollar, and if she can't, her ass should go to jail, right? I was just talking a minute about Karens, right? Like white women who sick the police on us, and how Amy Cooper was just released, or Amy Cooper was charges was dropped against her, and how I said that's a horrible precedent to set to allow somebody to do something like that, knowing the history of these incidents, and she gets off scot-free. Same thing with a woman, family. Same thing with a woman, family. We need to realize that this system, the child support system, the welfare system, not all, but too many women abuse this system. Too many women abuse this system. Too many women have been conditioned to understand that I don't need this nigga. Like, I can get money, I can call the county and get money directly from them. I don't even need him like that. You see what I'm saying? So all of this, the welfare system being instituted, how the child support system is handled, because people say all the time, and I'm familiar with this system, y'all, you can go down there and say, okay, this is the amount of money I have to pay in child support. I'll pay it. And they say, okay, if you spend more time with your kid, the child support will get lower. Family, I'm here to tell you, that's not fucking true. It's a whole bunch of factors depending on that, depending on like how much money she make, your relationship with the kids. If you can be getting your kid half the time and still paying the same amount of money you was paying in child support. The point I'm making is this system is flawed, and it seems to lean towards the woman's convenience. And in our society, black folks who are already broken, who already don't have resources, some of us are going to take advantage of this type of system nefariously, right? And this leads to a woman saying, I'm pregnant, I'm going to pick my baby daddy, right? I'm going to pick him. I was having sex with 2 dudes, maybe 3 dudes. I'm going to pick the one that's more successful. I'm going to pick the one that I like more. This shit actually happens in our society, family. Now, granted, I'll shoot the women a little bit of bail. Meaning, we do live in a society that if a woman sleeps with multiple guys, she's socialized as a hoe. Now, I think, I'm going to be honest, this is like a evolved perspective that I'm newly coming about, right? I think we need to change that a little bit because, well, 2 things. I think we need to change it a little bit and not socialize women to be hoes, because it creates closeted behavior. So now they're going to do it behind your back. Now they're going to portray something that they're not, right? And here's the biggest thing, too. If the term hoe didn't have such a negative connotation, then we could do something with that a little bit, because men don't care, right? If a man is having sex with a lot of women and somebody call him a hoe, nobody gives a shit, right? The man don't care. That's not gonna stop nothing. In most cases, not all, in most cases, a woman will look at a dude having sex with hella women and they don't even look at him the same way they would look at their girlfriend who having sex with hella dudes. You see what I'm saying? So this society has socialized women who are promiscuous and giving them a bad rap. And I think that leads to women hiding what they've done or what they are doing currently. You know what I mean? So another thing about this. So again, if you're just now tuning in, the title of the show today, Mama's Baby, Daddy's Maybe, right? What do we do with females who puts babies on dudes and it's not their baby? What do we do with those women? Do they go to jail? Do we fucking make them pay the money back? What do we do, right? But what we're talking about is the effects of that, right? Because think about this. Another take on that. What if you put the baby on a particular, and I've seen this, family. What if a woman puts the baby on a particular dude? There's another dude involved, right? Who she says, the baby ain't yours. Now, two things happens. Let's say the baby really was his, right? So he lives his life. He's robbed, literally robbed of the chance of the potential relationship he could have had with his child, right? Something else I've seen before. A girl picks who she wants the baby daddy to be. The other guy, she says, it's not yours. It actually is his. He moves on life. Let's say he gets another girlfriend and she don't get pregnant. Another girlfriend and she don't get pregnant. Now, this may prompt the brother to go get himself checked out. He may think, I can't get a woman pregnant. I've seen this before, family, right? He may think, I can't get a woman pregnant. So now what happens is his self-esteem goes down. He gets to questioning his goddamn sperm count, all this shit, all because a woman lied to him. But again, the biggest thing is he's robbed of a relationship, right? He's robbed of a relationship. So in our community, starting today, right? if ladies, if you know a woman, if you got a friend who was sleeping with multiple dudes and you know she pregnant now, she didn't go get a blood test for none of those dudes, you got to sit her down and talk to her. Like, this shit is a mental game that can ruin a child's well-being, can ruin a man's mental state, right? Because you don't know how people are going to react when information like this is revealed. Because I gave the example, what if, excuse me, family, a woman you were just having sex with comes out and says, okay, I'm pregnant, baby's yours. You find out 7 years later, the baby not yours, right? What should happen? Should you get your money back? Should she go to jail? I think all this shit should be on the table, right? And I think your connection, a man, this is my opinion, a man will be highly upset with this type of woman, but not enough to hurt her, or most men, right? Not enough to hurt her or bring harm her way. Now, let's flip the scenario. What if you married or you in a committed relationship for 10, 15 years, right? Think about how many situations like this out there, right? Where you 10, 15 years deep, your kid about to go to college like a motherfucker, right? You find out that boy not yours. What's going to happen then? That type of man may just go postal and hurt somebody. You see what I'm saying? But again, we are told to keep it real with women, right? We are told don't lie, be upfront, let women know what's going on so they can decide if they want to be involved or not. All this bullshit, right? This is how we are told to conduct ourselves with women. And for most of that, I agree, right? But it's important that women have like some game rules too that they have to follow, because it shouldn't be one-sided. You see what I'm saying? So look, man, I appreciate everybody tuning into the show today. Let me see here. And for me, I would just so y'all know, my personal opinion, right? If I had a baby with a woman, regardless if it was a one-night stand or we've been in a relationship for a long-ass time, and I find out the kid ain't mine, I'm like such a lover of children and small kids specifically, that I'm sure I would be upset, but I wouldn't have it in me to just disown the kid. Now, I ain't got to give your ass another dollar for the rest of this little... I ain't got to give you $1 for the rest of this kid's life. You may not ask me for shit. If I want to come around, if I want to be involved, that should just be voluntary at this point. I shouldn't be required to do shit. You know what I mean? But I don't think I can just leave a kid high and dry like that. Because at the end of the day, with situations like this involving children, what I've learned through my trials and tribulations, it's best to always try to look at what's the best thing for the kid. And let's say if I'm around the kid's, let's say 4 or 5 years old, we have a bond already. If I have a 5-year-old, they're going to know me. They're going to be around me a lot. I have a bond with them. The 5-year-old doesn't know the mama is on some bullshit. So how do you move forward with that? Of course, you could be mad at the woman, but my suggestion is, because of how many black babies don't have a structured environment, how many black babies don't have a structured father in the home and don't have these type of situations, it's important that we look out for our babies. You got to realize you black. So I would recommend to any dude out there, figure out a way to still be there for the child if you could. You know what I mean? Wanting the mom to go to jail, wanting the mom to have to pay you back, wanting the mom to have to go through something disciplinary, you know what I mean, be disciplined for her actions in some way, sure. But at the end of the day, too many of our babies don't have structured homes. Too many of our babies don't have positive male influences in their life. And again, the kid wouldn't know any of this is going on. So for all my men out there, I would say to you, you got to stick it out. Now, of course, financially, you're not necessarily required to do what you were before, but that don't mean nothing. You should still want to be there. You should still, even if it's just from a mentoring stage, because you would have to gauge it, right? What if she tells you the baby not yours, she tells the new dude, and he jump in there, right? That can happen. Then I think you'd be forced to back up a little bit, because the new father, the real fucking father, should be involved, should be there, right? And all in all, this could be a beautiful situation where the kid end up having two daddies, if we're going to look at it from a completely positive perspective. But at the end of the day, women shouldn't do that shit. And women want, and this is another thing, I'll end on this. Women want the truth from us, right? But you got to understand, the biggest point of this show is that goes both ways, ladies. That not being sure of who the baby's father is, I understand that can be hella embarrassing, right? But again, as men, all of us, we got to realize we've socialized women who are promiscuous to hide it because of the connotation of being promiscuous. You a hoe, you a slut, you out there. You know what I mean? These are negative connotations that women don't like to carry. So we need to realize that as a society, we kind of put this on women to a degree, but you got to be honest about that, because you ask us to be honest all the time when, and it's just some real shit, sometime a woman will approach you, or you will see a woman and you want to talk to her, right? And everything about her is a lie. She could be her mouth could be telling you the truth, but her hair fake. She got on fake eyelashes. She may got on the little tummy tuck shit. You know what I mean? She got hella makeup on. So I don't even know who you are under all that shit, right? So these are different levels of it. But if we talking being truthful, this goes both ways. And for women, you can put yourself in harm's way if you set up a dude like this. Like, it's real fucked up for everybody involved. We don't want kids to get 18, 19, 20 and realize that daddy that they thought was theirs ain't theirs, right? So everybody, you want to prevent this, let's do a better job of who we mate with. Let's wear protection when we have sex. Let's make sure we met somebody in this and we've been with them 6 months. That don't mean you should have a baby. Lightning doesn't strike that fast, goddammit. You need to wait. You need to relax. You need to figure out who this person is. You need to get to know someone before you have kids. If not, you setting yourself up to be in a situation where you a single parent. You know what I mean? You setting yourself up in a situation where you having sex with multiple dudes and you don't know who the daddy is. You see what I'm saying? So as men, if we come a little more solid and make sure we 100 in how we approach women, we should be able to see what's going on and kind of go from there. You know what I mean? So this has been another episode, man, of the Melanated Convo podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. Please do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube page, which is Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube page. You know what I mean? So we can get the likes up, so we can get the numbers up on the show. Also, my website, melanatedfathers.com, will be back here in a few weeks. I had my site crashed and somebody hacked my site, and there was like several hundred articles and news stories and everything. So my guy that I work with is doing his best to get everything back on par for me, so that should be popping off pretty soon. Until then, go to Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple Podcasts, you can find the show everywhere podcasts are, all digital platforms. You can find the show there. This has been another episode of the Melanated Convo podcast.